Imagine a moment when smartphones disappear, not because they became outdated, but because they became part of you. Right now, according to insiders from the industry, Apple is developing a whole series of revolutionary projects that could completely change how we interact with technology. This is no longer about a new iPhone. This is about the next stage of the evolution of humans and technology. And one of the most ambitious projects is the so-called bio-integrated AI chip, which could potentially turn your body into a full-fledged device. Yes, it sounds like science fiction, but if you look at current trends, this future may be closer than it seems. Imagine, no phone in your pocket, no screen in your hands. The interface is literally projected directly onto your skin. You raise your hand and see a familiar interface like on an iPhone, only it is built into your body. Control happens through neural signals, gestures, or even thoughts. And this is no longer just a fantasy. Similar technologies are partially being developed in projects like Neuralink, where experiments on connecting the brain and a computer are already being conducted today. But Apple, as always, is going its own way, not just to create technology, but to make it mass, safe, and convenient for billions of people. According to insiders, the company is investing billions of dollars in research related to neurointerfaces, next-generation microchips, and biocompatible materials that can safely integrate into the human body. And if this is truly realized, we will witness the birth of a new class of devices, not smartphones, not watches, but something fundamentally new. Devices that do not need to be held, do not need to be charged, and that are always with you. Imagine the level of integration. You think about a message, and it is already open. You want to find information, and it appears right in front of you. Camera, built in. GPS, built in. Internet, always with you. This is no longer just a device. It is an extension of your consciousness. And this is where the most interesting part begins. Because if Apple is really creating such a technology, it means the beginning of a new technological race. Already now, we see how the world's largest companies, from Google to Microsoft and OpenAI, are investing billions in the development of artificial intelligence. But the next step is not just smart AI, it is the physical presence of AI next to a human, or even inside them. And if Apple manages to do this before the others, it could completely change the market. Think about it. The iPhone once already revolutionized the industry, but if the company releases a device that replaces the iPhone itself, it will be a revolution of a different level. Because then the very need for familiar gadgets will disappear. Phones, tablets, even laptops may become relics of the past. Everything will be concentrated in you. But of course, at the moment this project is at an early stage. And this is important to understand. According to insider information, several years may pass before a real release, possibly 5, possibly 10, because this is not only about technology, but also about safety. Integrating a device into the body is a completely new level of responsibility. Any mistake could cost too much. That is why Apple is acting extremely cautiously, testing every technology, every component, every usage scenario. But if you look at how quickly AI is developing, it becomes clear. This direction is inevitable. Already today, AI is capable of writing texts, creating images, controlling devices, analyzing data faster than a human. And now imagine that this AI is always with you. It knows you better than you know yourself. It helps make decisions, suggests, optimizes your life. This is no longer just an assistant. It is a digital extension of personality. And here the main question arises. Are people ready for such a future? Because on one hand, these are incredible opportunities. On the other, these are new risks: privacy, security, control. If the device becomes part of your body, where is the boundary between you and technology? Who controls the data? Who has access? These questions are already being discussed in the technology community. But despite all the risks, one thing is absolutely clear. The movement in this direction has already begun, and Apple, apparently, is not going to stay on the sidelines. Moreover, the company wants to lead this revolution, and if it succeeds, we will witness the largest technological transition since the emergence of the internet. A world where technology is not just around us, it is inside us. And perhaps in a few years, we will remember smartphones the same way we remember button phones today. As the first step, as the beginning, but not as the final point. Because the real revolution is still ahead, and it is already beginning right now. But if you dig deeper, it becomes clear that this project is not just the next step in the evolution of devices. It is an attempt to completely change the very concept of human interaction with reality. Because when the interface disappears as a separate object, the boundary between the digital and physical world also disappears. Imagine a situation. You are walking down the street, and in front of you, there are not just buildings, but a layer of information that is superimposed on reality. You look at a person and instantly receive hints, where you have seen them, what their name is, what they do. You walk into a store and immediately see personalized offers, prices, discounts, recommendations calculated specifically for you. All of this happens without a screen, without a device, without any actions, simply because the system is already integrated into you. And this is where the main potential of the technology that, according to rumors, Apple is working on is hidden. This is not just an AI chip. It is the foundation for creating the so-called next-generation augmented reality, where the interface becomes invisible, but at the same time absolutely ubiquitous. Moreover, if this technology is combined with neural interfaces similar to developments by Neuralink, an even more radical scenario opens up. Imagine that you can not just see the interface, but directly interact with it through thoughts. Without gestures, without touches, you thought, and the action is already completed. You want to write a message, and it is already sent. You want to open a map, and it is already in front of you. This is a level of speed and convenience that is impossible to achieve with current devices. And that is why the largest technology companies are beginning to look in this direction. Because the next stage of competition is not just processor power or camera quality. It is the depth of integration of technology into human life. And here, Apple can play a key role because it already has a huge ecosystem. Devices, services, billions of users. If the company can connect all of this with a new type of interface, it will gain almost complete control over the user's digital life. But there is another aspect that is rarely talked about, the impact on human nature itself. Because if you have constant access to information, if AI helps you think, make decisions, analyze, the very model of thinking changes. People may become faster, more efficient, smarter. But at the same time, the question arises, will we lose something important? Will we become too dependent on a system that always knows the answer? And here again, the balance between progress and control arises. Because a technology that makes life easier simultaneously makes a person more vulnerable. If the system fails, what happens? If access is restricted, what happens? If someone gains control, what happens? And that is why the development of such technologies requires not only engineering solutions, but also ethical ones. But despite all these questions, one thing is already clear. This trend cannot be stopped. We are already moving toward a world where technology becomes invisible, but at the same time more powerful than ever. And if Apple truly brings this project to the final stage, it could become the most important product in the company's history, even more significant than the iPhone. Because it will not just be a device, it will be a new form of interaction between a human and the world.